Hey, I'm your host, Jen Wheeler, and this is the Healthy Her podcast. I'm a teacher, author, and foodie who went from being addicted to sugar, skipping meals, and struggling to get in control of my eating, to someone who is 10 kilos down, eats all the yummy foods without restriction, and is finally in control of my hunger. I'm obsessed with helping other health-conscious women ditch the confusion and overwhelm so they can cultivate healthy eating habits and truly thrive. The Healthy Her podcast was created to give you real talk about healthy eating, as well as easy, actionable tips that fit seamlessly into your busy lifestyle. I'm not just your host. Think of me as your healthy eating hype gal, your personal cheerleader as we chat all things healthy eating, weight loss, and mindset mastery, so you can become the healthiest, happiest version of you. So if you're ready to ditch the guilt, reclaim your confidence, and unlock the very best version of you, then you're in the right place. So let's get started. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Healthy Her podcast. I'm sure by now you've either returned to work, you're going back to work, you're starting to get back into the groove of things as we move into the new year even further. So I've timed today's episode perfectly for you because we are going to be talking all about meal prep, my meal prep success secrets, and also how you can get organized for a healthy week ahead. And the reason I wanted to record this episode is because I have had a mixed relationship, I would say, with meal prep and meal prepping. I've learned a lot. And so in today's episode, I'm going to be sharing with you all the things that I found that really worked for me, how I made meal prep a habit, how it helped me with my healthy eating and also my weight loss. So we're going to be covering all of the meal prep topics in today's episode. Just before I jump into the episode, I want to just remind you that if you head to the link below, that there is loads of freebies. You've got my free healthy eating and weight loss essentials kit that's got lots of recipes in it that you can try, lots of weight loss tips, a few meal prep recipes. So if you are needing some new healthy eating inspiration, you can download that from the link below. So I definitely recommend checking it out because it's got some of my super popular and most created recipes in that guide. Okay, I want to share with you a little bit first about meal prep because I think it's really important that you have a clear understanding about what meal prep is, the benefits, and why you should be why it's a must-have for every busy modern day woman, because we are super busy and we are juggling all the things. And meal prep is one of those things that you can use to set yourself up for success. So first of all, I just believe that there are lots of wrong perceptions about meal prep. And to be honest with you, I do blame social media for that a little bit. Because I'm sure that you have all opened up your Instagram or your TikTok or your Facebook, and there is a woman standing there, and in front of her, she has piles high of matching containers with cute lids. And there's probably a month's worth of meal prep there. She's got her breakfast, her lunches, her snacks. She's even meal prepped her dessert. And it's probably taken her several hours, if not a couple of days, to put that together. And unfortunately, as women, when we see that, we just jump into overwhelm mode straight away. So we look at that and we think, well, I can't do that. I don't have time to do that. That's just going to take you forever. And so we put meal prepping our food in the too hard basket. It doesn't have to look like that. And meal prep can look and feel and be exactly what you need it to be and can suit your lifestyle. Now, don't get me wrong. Those kind of posts and things, they're super inspiring. You see them and you think, oh, wow, that meal prep, it looks amazing and things like that. But to be honest, in reality, for most of us, I don't have time to do a month meal prep on a Sunday. That is just not reality for me. I'm a busy working mum. I run multiple businesses and that is just not reality for me. So definitely see those kind of posts on social media, use them as inspiration, be inspired by them. You might get a recipe idea, but just don't get stuck in the fact that that's what meal prep has to look like. It can be really super simple and it can have a significant impact on how you eat healthy consistently throughout your busy week. Okay, let's talk about why you need to meal prep. So It's a funny one because, meal prep is one of those things where we think, oh, I don't have to do that. But meal prep is one of the key things and one of the healthy habits that I incorporated into my lifestyle that not only allowed me to lose weight, I've lost 10 kilos, but also allowed me to maintain my weight loss and maintain my healthy habits as part of my busy lifestyle. So for me, from someone who's gone from literally doing zero meal prep to doing some form of regular meal prep every single week, it has had a significant impact on my wellness and on my healthy eating habit. And it's also allowed me to eat healthy consistently. And that's what meal prep does. So I want you to think of meal prep as a system. Okay, so as women, we get this, I need motivation and I need to be inspired to eat healthy. No BS. You need none of that. You don't need to be motivated. You don't need to be inspired. You need systems. Meal prep is a system that sets you up for success. Okay, because if you think about it, you're at work, it's really busy, there's all this stuff happening, like your boss is asking you for all this stuff, or you're dealing with all these customers at work and you're like, just don't have time for lunch. And so you either eat nothing at all, or you'll grab some snacks from the 7-Eleven down the road or whatever you've got access to. And then you come home and eat everything in the fridge and you feel like rubbish afterwards. Whereas if you're at work and you're really busy, you don't have time to go and get lunch, but you brought your lunch to work that you meal prepped, that's high in protein, that's got some vegetables, that's got a good source of carbohydrates for energy. And you can eat that and you can shovel it down quickly while you're catching up on some work as well. It helps you make healthy decisions in that moment because it's reducing your decision fatigue around food. So you're not having to go, oh, I don't have anything to eat at work for lunch. What am I going to have? It's there for you. So it takes out a lot of the guesswork and it makes healthy eating easier because you just don't have to think about it. I know for me, it's just like, we'll open the fridge and that's what's for lunch. That's what I've made. That's what I'm eating. And I don't have to think about it. So it does reduce that sort of, food pressure that we feel to eat healthy because the guesswork and all the hard work's already been done. So meal prep is one of those things that often in that moment, you may not feel like doing it, but you'll never regret it. Like no one ever regrets, the amount of women in the membership that will post and say, really didn't feel like doing any meal prep this week. But then, 2 days later, there's a post saying, oh my gosh, work was so busy today. Or I didn't have time to make dinner, but I'd had this in the freezer. Or you will never, ever regret doing some meal prep. So whether you're listening to this and you are a regular meal prepper or whether you are someone that's thinking, yeah, that is something that I'd like to get into, I can 110% suggest it is one of the top healthy habits that will have a significant impact on your healthy eating and your wellness in 2025. So definitely recommend looking into doing some form of meal prep. And like I said, it's a system to set yourself up for success. That's what it's for. Okay, it's there to save you time. It's to make healthy eating easier. It's to just streamline your process of healthy eating. And another thing I want to mention too about, before I get into the tips of how I actually personally meal prep for success, is meal prep can be flexible and it can change. And I think something in this space that is not talked about enough, we get into this sort of thought pattern and this belief that, well, I'll join a gym and that's what I'll do forever and I'll always do that. Or like, I can't work out from home because I've got a small child. So, I can only do these kind of workouts. Things change, and it's the same for me when it comes to meal prep. So for me, when I was like teaching at school, I would every single Sunday, sometimes Saturday, like if we had something on Sunday, I would spend an hour of my day doing my meal prep, and I would meal prep my breakfast. I would meal prep a high protein, healthy breakfast because my mornings were super busy. I had to get to school. I had to get my own 2 kids to school, like organize everyone, get us all out of the house and be there on time. So I didn't have time to make breakfast. So I would always meal prep a healthy, high protein breakfast, and I would always meal prep a lunch to take to work. Now, one of the big things with teaching is you don't have time to eat. Like you just don't, because people will say, oh, but you would get like a recess break and lunch break. No, because you would either be on yard duty out supervising the kids, Or you have your planned, like your break, your 20 minutes that you might get, and some child in your classroom is crying or they're fallen over. And, small children want that closest person. They want their teacher. So, you stop what you're doing and you go and attend to that child. So, lunch as a teacher was always shoveled in the last 3 minutes before the bell rang, or walking out on yard duty, shoveling it in. So, having a meal prep lunch. And I know that I know that if I didn't have that, I would not be eating healthy. I would be in my drawer, in the cupboard, because, if this is something that you don't know about your teachers or your kids' teachers, we all have a stash of lollies and chocolate, either in our drawer or our cupboards. And every teacher has that, and we share it communally. So if I ran out of my stash, I could go next door and say, hey, I need some chocolate or some lollies. Can I get into your stash? It's like a well-known thing amongst teachers, because those little hits of sugar sometimes help us get through the day of teaching the kids. So that was my meal prep then. Whereas now that I have my own business and I'm working from home, I have more flexibility, but I still meal prep because my days are really, really busy. Some weeks it might be, I'll just focus on meal prepping my breakfast. Some weeks it's like, no, I've got so much on. I've got all these podcast recordings. I've got to do all of this work for the Real Nourish prep mixes. I've got coaching calls, I've got all this stuff on. So I will say, right, I'm going to do lunches this week. So I just really want you to understand that meal prep can change. It can be flexible. It can look a certain way for a certain period of time, like for me with the teaching, and then it can change again. And then in another year's time, I might need something different from my meal prep. So meal prepping can be super flexible. It can change with you, and it can also work for you. I really want to stress this. So your meal prep needs to look, feel, and suit you and your lifestyle. Now, I know the big thing is meal prep Sundays, meal prep Mondays, and that's what we talk about. And if you don't want to do meal prep on a Sunday and that does not work for you at all, don't do it on a Sunday. Go, okay, have a look at your calendar, have a look at your diary and go, all right, I think Tuesday works for me. I've got some time in the afternoon. I tend to finish work a bit earlier. So Tuesdays is going to be my meal prep day. Choose a day of the week to do your meal prep that suits you, but try and stick to that same day every week, because that will make the process of making it a habit a whole lot easier. So choose a day that works for you and choose a system that works for you. So we're going to go into that a little bit more, but as I'm talking about these different tips for meal prep, I really just want you to have an open mind, be prepared to be flexible with your meal prep, and to find a system that works for you. All right, let's jump into my top tips. So how to meal prep for success. So I hope, first of all, that, just by me talking to you a little bit about meal prep, about how it can be flexible, about my experiences with meal prep, that you've sort of starting to, in your mind as you're listening to this, thinking, okay, yeah, I think I can kind of find a way to make this work for me, and it's not as overwhelming and it's not as confusing as what, like I said, when we see all those fancy posts on social media. And I hope that you're starting to find a way that you can make meal prep work for you and your busy lifestyle. Now, tip number 1 in order to meal prep for success, and this is so simple, but it is so important. You have to ask yourself, what do you feel like eating this week? So if you're going, I'm going to meal prep my lunches for my work, I'm going to do 3 or 4 days of meal prep, I'm going to do my lunches for work, or just a PSA, a 3-day meal prep is perfect. It is perfect because you don't get sick of it and it lasts the longest and stays the freshest in the fridge. So for me, I've always found that sweet spot is a 3-day. So if I'm prepping any kind of lunches or breakfast, it's always for 3 days. So back to tip number 1, you need to ask yourself this. What do you feel like eating? Now, this is a huge mistake that we make as women, and I'm so guilty of this too, is that I think, okay, well, I want to lose some weight and I want to get healthy and I want to look and feel amazing and put on my jeans and feel great and all those kind of things. So I'm going to eat some boiled chicken, some rice and some broccoli. The problem with that is that that's not what you feel like eating. So when you get that out of the fridge at work and you look at that, you're not going to be excited, motivated, and inspired to eat your healthy meal. You're going to be looking at it and going, oh, so that's for lunch? Do I really have to eat that? So it is so, so, so important that before you do any type of meal prep, and that includes meal planning too, that you ask yourself, what do I actually feel like eating? Now, the reason this is so important is because 1, you're going to then want to eat that healthy meal. 2, you're going to be excited about it. That's one thing I love in the membership is the women will post and they'll say like, I'm so excited for breakfast. Like I've meal prepped this the night before and I cannot wait to wake up and eat this thing. Your food should excite you. So if you are eating boring food and you're eating something because you think that's what you need to eat, then it's not going to be successful. So you really need to tune in and ask yourself what you feel like eating. And that doesn't mean that you have to have, like, if you feel like eating pizza this week, make a pizza. Make it a healthy pizza. Use a wholemeal wrap as a base. Put some chicken on it. Add some vegetables and some spinach and all those kind of things. You can literally make a healthified version of whatever you feel like. Okay, so don't think that your meal prep has to be chicken and rice or something because you think that that's what you need to eat in order to lose weight. Your meal prep can be whatever you feel like eating. Like I said, you can just create a simple, healthy version of whatever you feel like, and then you'll be excited. You'll be excited to open the fridge at work and warm up your meal prep lunch or to grab your loaded chicken salad or whatever you've made because it's something that you actually feel like eating. Okay, tip number 2. What do you need to get from meal prep? Okay, so what do you need to get from your meal prep? So say for me, I'll relate it back to when I was teaching examples. So for me, meal prep needed to save me time in the mornings. Like I said, I had to get to school, I had to get to work. I had 2 kids that I needed to get organized and out of the house as well at the same time. And if you're a mom, you'll know that that is a constant juggle every single day. So meal prep for me needed to be quick, easy, convenient. It needed to save me time. So you really need to get a clear image and an idea in your mind about what do you want from your meal prep. Do you want it to have you cooking in the kitchen less? Do you want it to save you time in the mornings? Do you want your meal prep to be like a nighttime thing? Do you want your meal prep to be at the end of the workday that you don't have to cook a full meal, that you've got part of it meal prepped in the fridge? Work out what you want from meal prep, because when you're doing your planning and everything and thinking about getting organized to do some meal prep, that will help you because it will mean that it will suit your lifestyle and it will suit your needs and the things that you want. And as part of that as well too, you need to also work out like when you need it. Like I said, is it breakfast? Is it lunches for work? Is it like dinner because you have all of these commitments and kids things on at the end of the day, or you have to work late or you've got shift work, whatever your circumstances are. So, like work out what you want from meal prep and when you actually need it. Tip number 3 is you need to plan for it. We all just get sucked into this rabbit hole where we think we have to be motivated and inspired to eat healthy. You don't. You need to be organized. You need to set up systems and you need to plan for it. I was successful with meal prep each week because I planned for it. That's the only reason that it happened. If I was sitting on the couch and just hoping and wishing that I'd be flooded with all of this inspiration to get up and meal prep, it just wouldn't happen. But because I planned for it and I knew that on Sunday that I would do a little meal prep, it made it easier for me to do that thing. So it is super, super important that you plan for your meal prep. Are you tired of the endless struggle to eat healthy and nail your meal prep routine? Introducing the Real Nourish Do-It-Yourself Meal Prep Mixes, the ultimate solution for busy women like you. When I went on my own personal health journey, I discovered the many benefits of meal prep. And after much searching, I just couldn't find a meal prep mix that was designed especially for women. So I literally decided to create my own. Trust me, as a busy working mum, meal prep has changed my life. Our mixes are packed with protein to keep you energized and feeling full. Our mixes can be whipped up in under 10 minutes, perfect for your on-the-go lifestyle. Using our award-winning pancake tray bake mix means you can say goodbye to standing over a hot stove, flipping pancakes. Simply add water, toss in your favorite fruits, and bake. If you're ready to revolutionize your meal prep game, you can find my mixes at theactivebod.com or follow us on Instagram at realnourish_. And as a special thank you to our Healthy Her community, we have a discount code. So just enter the code, TheHealthyHer, at the checkout. So how do you plan for a meal prep? The way that I like to do it is this. And like I said, I've tried quite a few different systems. I've tried different things. I've tried some ones and gone, yeah, that's not going to work for me. But having this kind of a system has really, really helped me. And I've also found that it's like easy and it's achievable and it's something that I can do regularly week on week. So first of all, you need to work out a day that you're going to shop. Like what day are you going to shop? What day are you going to prep? So start with your prep. So say, okay, right, I'm going to sit down. What am I going to meal prep? Okay, I really want to do my breakfast and my lunches. Okay, that's your first step. Tick. Your next one, when am I going to do my food shopping? So I've got the things that I need for that meal prep. Okay, I'll put that on my calendar. Tick. You need to make a plan. Then you need to work out when you're actually going to meal prep. Like I said, and I mentioned this earlier in the episode, find a time and a day of the week that suits you the best. It is crucial because if you do this, then you're more likely to do it. If you pick it on a day because you think that meal prep Sunday should be the day that you meal prep and that's just not convenient for you at all, then don't do it on that day. And like I mentioned before as well too, be flexible. If you go, okay, I'm going to try doing mine on a Monday afternoon and you do that for a few weeks and you find it doesn't work, be flexible, change it. This is something I really want to stress with meal prep is keep playing around with it until you find a system that works for you, because that's what allowed me to experience success with it. And that's what will allow you to experience success with it. So if you're trying something, or if you're going, okay, I did lunches and breakfast and that didn't work for me and I'll just do lunches, or find a system that works for you. And like I said, be flexible and just be prepared to play around with it until you find something that works for you. Another important part, and this is part of still tip number 3 in planning for it, is check that you have what you need. And I'm not talking about what you're going to cook, and I'm not talking about your food shopping, and I'm not talking about the day to do your prep. I'm talking about do you have containers to store this food in? Like some glass microwave safe containers that you can take to work and heat up your meal. You need to make sure that you have those containers. And honestly, it's like the bane of my existence in my house. I'm like, do not touch these containers because this is what I use for my meal prep. And I'm sure you can so relate. When you're trying to find a damn lid in the plastic straw and you're just digging around and you literally have all these containers and half of them are missing lids and things like that. And this may help you too. I eventually got to the point where I would keep my meal prep containers in a separate cupboard, out of the kitchen in my laundry. I've got cupboards over the top. So I cleaned out one of those cupboards and I put my containers in there. And I have to say, it reduced my stress significantly because I could just go there, open it up. I had my containers that I needed to take to work and for my meal prep, and I didn't have to be rummaging around in the drawers because it's like socks in the washing machine. I do not know where lids of plastic containers go. They just seem to disappear and you seem to always end up with all of the bottoms and no matching lids. So definitely recommend when you're doing your planning for your meal prep that you have containers, that you have a set of containers, that you keep them somewhere that, your family and kids can't get to them, because otherwise you will just find in a week's time they will be gone and you won't have any left. Okay, tip number 4 of meal prepping for success is this. Ease comes from repetition. Okay, it's not about motivation and being inspired to do it. The ease and flow that you want will come from you meal prepping regularly. So I hope that makes sense. So your ease and your flow is going to come from you doing this thing regularly, and it will also make it easier for you to do. So what that means is the first time you meal prep, it's okay, well, I've got to plan and I've got a food shop and I've got to do these things, and you sort of got lots of things that you're trying to organize. The next time you do it, it gets a little bit easier. And the week after that, you do it again, it becomes a little bit easier again. And repetition is what will give you the ease of doing it. And then what happened with me is that it was okay, it's Sunday, it's meal prep, and that's what I'm doing. It's like your brain doesn't require any effort to think about doing the thing anymore. And that's what you want. You want meal prep just to be one of these things that you just do most weeks, and it's just something that's a habit and that you don't have to think about. But you only get to that point if you do the thing consistently. If you're only going to meal prep once and then not do it for another 6 months, when you do it again later on, it's just going to feel hard again. So ease comes from you repeating and doing the thing regularly. Okay, tip number 5. I have touched on this one a little bit, but I will just revise it again. Number 5 is trial and experiment. Like I said, as women, we get so locked in that our workouts must look like this, or our healthy eating must look like this, or our meal prep must look like this. And I can tell you from personal experience, my meal prep has changed, my workouts have changed, and it's all, dependent on my lifestyle and how young my kids were and work and all of these other things. And so I really want you to start taking on this mindset that, your healthy eating and wellness can change. You can trial different things. You can experiment with different things. Like I said, try maybe, I'm going to do a 3-day breakfast prep. That may be your first little goal that you set for yourself. I have to say, I'm yet to meet a woman yet that has not enjoyed a breakfast prep. Every single woman that I meet, that I get into prepping a high protein breakfast, will message me and say, oh my goodness, Jen, this has changed my life, and my entire morning routine is having a meal prep breakfast ready to go in the fridge. So if that is your first goal for meal prep, I guarantee it's one you are going to want to keep forever, because it is, and I know it sounds dramatic, but it's one of those things, until you try it, you will realize how life-changing, as a busy woman, having a healthy, high-protein breakfast ready and waiting for you in the fridge just changes your entire morning. It changes how you feel. It changes how you show up for yourself. It means you start your day right and nourishing your body instead of having like half a sip of cold coffee and a bite of toast because you're so busy and heading out the door. So I definitely recommend working and trying a 3-day breakfast prep. And then, well, you might do your lunches. You might say, no, I really need those work lunches, so I'm going to do my work lunches. And then try it. Give it a go. Try it for a couple of weeks and go, yeah, I really enjoy that. Or I really enjoyed these parts, but I think I'll tweak that a bit like for the following week. Try it out, see how it goes, tweak it and change it until you find it's just this well-oiled, perfect meal prep machine that does exactly what you need it to do. But don't be afraid to trial. Don't be afraid to try some meal prep and go, yeah, that just didn't work for me, and to try something different, because it is really important for you to do this to find your groove for the long term. And that's what we want. We want meal prep to be a part of your regular, healthy weekly habits, the same as like drinking water or going for a walk or all of those kind of things, because meal prep is a system that will set yourself up for success. It will catch you on the days when you just can't do healthy eating. And also too, when talking about meal prep, because I know I've talked about like doing breakfast preps and lunch preps and all those kind of things. You can also do meal prep in relation to your weeknight dinners. So, a meal prep for your weeknight dinners may include, in the morning before you go to work, it might be chopping up all of the vegetables and throwing them in a container of water for the stir fry that you're having for dinner at night. Okay, it may be taking out some lean beef mince from the freezer and popping it into the fridge so that it can slowly defrost during the day. So again, see how that's like one small less thing. Like you don't have to stand at the microwave and defrost your protein and your meat because it's already ready to go in the fridge. You're spending less time having to chop, cook, and wash all of your vegetables for your stir fry because they are in the fridge. And those two little things would take you all of about like 3 minutes. Yet when you get home at the end of the day and you're super tired and you're super exhausted, those little things, because it's reducing that decision fatigue for you at nighttime, that you can just pull those things out of the fridge, and instead of spending half an hour to cook a meal, it might take you like 10 minutes, and the easier that you can make healthy eating for yourself, the more successful that you will be with it. It's not motivation. It's not inspiration that you need. It's just the more things that you can do to set yourself up for success, the easier you will find healthy eating. So it's all about working smarter as a busy woman and not making things harder for ourselves. So I really hope that one resonates with you. All right. So today we have talked about, why we think meal prep is or can be overcomplicated and confusing because of all of those fancy social media posts. I've given you my tips for saving your lids and hiding them away from your kids so that when you want to do your meal prep that you've got some cute little containers to put your food into. And I've also given you my top 5 tips to meal prep for success. Like I said, if you listen to this and you're like, yeah, I really want to start doing this, great. So plan for it. Start small, be flexible, and find a system that works for you. If you are a busy working woman and you are juggling all the things and you need help with your meal prep, I had the solution. I was struggling. I've spoken about this briefly on the podcast before, but when I got into meal prepping for my weight loss and for my healthy eating, I couldn't find what I wanted at the supermarket, and I couldn't find a meal prep mix that I could keep in my pantry and just pull it out of the pantry and just prep it whenever I needed to, whether it was late on a Tuesday night or like a Friday morning or whenever I needed it. You could only buy like big dinner kits or frozen meals or pre-made meals, and that's not what I wanted. So if you are new here, I have created the Real Nourish do-it-yourself meal prep mixes, and they were created by me for other busy working women. That is exactly what they are for. So the Real Nourish meal prep mixes are high in protein, low in calories, ticks all of your health and wellness boxes, and it is a dry mix. So it's a dry pantry mix, which means you can keep it in your pantry and you can take it out and meal prep it whenever you want. So any day, any time of the day or night, if you need to meal prep some food and you just want to be able to do it then and there, you can pull it out and you can meal prep it in minutes. You've got the pancake bake, you've got the chocolate chip cookie slice, you've got breakfast, you've got snacks. So there's a lot of options. So definitely recommend checking out the Real Nourish do-it-yourself meal prep mixes. You can find them on my website, and we also have an Instagram page at realnourish_. And there's lots of other recipes and free meal ideas that you can try on the page also. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. I hope you've got lots and lots of tips of how you're going to do your successful meal prep moving forward. And I look forward to seeing you all in our next episode. Thank you so much for tuning in to another empowering episode of the Healthy Her podcast. If you enjoyed today's chat and found it helpful, hitting that follow or subscribe button would be amazing because your support means the world to me. Come connect with me on Instagram at TheActiveBod for your daily dose of inspiration and for loads of new easy meal ideas. Take care and keep thriving. See you next week.